Assalamu alaikum everyone, Exhibition Cadet Sabir Shah again for my channel Revision Cadet 9936. Today I would talk about the Indian Airlines 171 crash again. Last time I've talked about how much response time did the pilots have regardless of whatever happened to the aircraft. So from the gears, the front gear getting up airborne all the way till crashing into the doctor's hostel. So it was 32 seconds altogether. In this video, I would refer to a few people who originally gave up some theories and then they had to retract back. So I will talk about the reasons. For example, Captain Steve. Why would he retract his initial statement? What were the, not motives, but what was the pressure behind changing that statement, which he was initially leaning on? In order to explain all this, we need to know the kind of situation happening in India at the moment. They are highly under pressure. At least 4 of their civil helicopters have been crashed in recent months. 2 of the military helicopters, including the Apaches, have been crashed. And then Pakistan allegedly claimed of downing their 3 Rafales, 1 Sukhoi 30, 1 Mirage 2000, and 1 MiG-29. And the S-400 battery systems and stuff like that. So their government is under extreme pressure because it seems like the perception which their pilots are getting that it's the man behind the machine, not the machine's problem, it's the man's problem. So in order to clarify that, in order to clear that, Captain Steve had to retract his statement because he was pressurized. That's how the elite works through media. And I will give you pretty enough evidences. Now, first of all, let me tell you about myself. I pose myself as an aviation cadet. I was an exhibition cadet. And it seems like that I don't have any expertise in passenger airplanes. I don't poke my nose into each and every aviational hazard. I poke my nose into the things which I think that, yeah, I can talk about them, keeping my experience in mind. So if you look at my YouTube channel, this one, I have talked about a few incidences, including starting from the Air Blue 202, the Pakistani, where pilot was blamed. PKA 303, pilot was blamed. Chinese MU 5783, I think, the Eastern airliner, so Boeing 737 MAX 800, that went into the nosedive. Okay, that's a little bit different. Pilot was not directly blamed, but I will talk about that later in the later part of this video. And I've talked about the air show that P-52 got crashed into the B-2 bomber. So, and a few incidents happened in Pakistan Air Force, like a Mashhad. So that's 5 or 6 incidents I have talked about. Okay, now the rest of my channel is a motivational channel for Pakistani youth to join Pakistan Air Force or military forces to have a better future, because men at their best is Pakistan military, but of course the respective militaries of the countries. So why Air India 171? Again, it's all with the context of whatever is happening in India at the moment, facing huge embarrassment. So Captain Steve, in his first video, came up with no flap theory, and that was backlashed in India. And remember, India is a 1.5 billion people industry where almost 900 million people use internet, social media. 900 million people, that's like 1/7 of the world. And you cannot, go against that country. I have faced the consequences. My previous channel with 158,000 subscribers and about 153 million views on my channel, which I kept for 18 years. And during this conflict, heavily, massively reported by the Indian brethren. I won't blame them. It's part of life. So that's what happened. And now, if you remember, the first perception, now let's talk about the media perception and why I mentioned PK8303, because in Pakistan, some people, they didn't want the people on the ground who were responsible somehow, because air crash is not that it just happens, it's a series of events that get together and then the final impact happens. So it's a chain of events. You can't pinpoint only one thing. So the first piece of news, now I'm comparing PK8303 because all these respectful YouTube experts, which are airliner pilots as well, and because they wear ranks and they say they have 40 years of experience, 30 years of experience, and then yet they make this grave mistakes that Boeing 787 cockpit layout and where the gears are totally different from 777. At least you should have looked up into the cockpit layout. I did that to see how far these two things are and what they look like. What kind of, once you get the flaps down or up, what kind of lever that is. So it's not like the electricity switches. They all work the same way, up and down, up and down. In some countries, they go down and up to turn on and off. But I mean, it's just two positions. Flaps and gears are totally different things. Okay? And so first thing, coming up with that statement by a person who claims that it has 30 years of experience was ridiculous. Was that a possibility? Yes, it is. But even if she switched the flaps up, how would the airplane go down? That doesn't explain whatever happened to the airplane. Now, we don't know what has happened. I will debunk that in the later part of the video. Now it is projected as dual engine failure because RAT was deployed, and the sound of it confirms that it is the ramjet air turbine. So, okay, that's the present evidence which Mr. Captain Steve converted, took a U-turn and came to this theory, which because he was backlashed in India. Oh my God, all these people are now Goswami, Barkhadat. Those who were during the conflict of India and Pakistan, they were spreading the fake news. I mean, they even captured a harbor in the Lahore city of Pakistan, which is like hundreds of miles away from the sea, from the ocean. And these kind of people, just they work on the agenda of their intelligence agency, so I can totally understand. So I was watching Barkhadat these days, her live transmissions. She did two shows on this one, about an hour and 20 minutes long. And her main aim was to get at least something out of the panelists, that it was a sabotage, it was some kind of intervention. Definitely they're going to link it with Pakistan. We don't give a badass damn about that, but yeah. But through her efforts, one can clearly see that she wants to relate it to the sabotage one. And second thing, after Captain Steve, she's showing and putting a red cross on her picture that she was lying about that one. So that was a huge, and then under the comment section of Captain Steve, if you go and see, Indians are, So yeah, Captain Steve did a good thing to save his channel. Because you don't know how it works in YouTube, although for the US citizens, it won't be that strict. Bias is always there for people. I mean, like for my channel, it took it like, 3 days. Warning on May 5th, May 6th, May 7th, and May 14th, gone. But definitely there would be a leverage towards the Indians versus, but trust me, this could have happened. We did the right thing. Now, the first evidence which they produced initially was a video made by an 18-year-old guy who just came from his village, and just 2 hours ago he landed, he just arrived in the city, and he was just enjoying on the rooftop. It looks very clearly that he's, maybe sending the video to, there's no voice in that video, by the way. And then for first 3 days, that video did not surface. It was not there for first 48 hours at least. And then a computer screenshot, a computer like it's being played on the computer. Probably the iPhone was attached to the iTunes, and then someone took a video of that screen and posted. Now, at that time, the initial aim was, of course, to blame the pilots. I think the Indian government didn't notice that much. So that police officer probably had sold that video to whosoever the YouTubers were. I need to check it out that who was the first one to post that video. It's easy to be found. You can just get the keywords and YouTube gives you date by date. You can filter it. I need to see that who was the first one to send that video. The one in which you can see the back of the sideways, and which is later told by Captain Steve that this has the RAT sound in it. So Captain Steve was the first one to get the original copy. Who gave him the original copy? He can tell us better. My speculations are there that he was sent the original copy, because before his video, which he says, "How can RAT change the whole scenario?" Before that video, Barkadat and Arnab Goswami already had the the harness is tight and locked and shooting at Captain Steve. And they're promoting that it's not the pilot error. It's a person who's dead cannot defend himself, so we shouldn't blame them like this. Well, actually, this is throughout in my all 6 videos, 6 different occasions video, I have been promoting the same thing. That those people who can't defend themselves, those who are dead, please don't blame them. Look at the scenarios, how were they put in this kind of scenario? And their reactions could be result of miscalculations given the time duration they always have, but you cannot blame them fully for anything. It's a combo, everything together. But anyway, Indian media is promoting that now, and Captain Steve, who sent the video, original video, from the iPhone, I mean the original one, and then which you can hear the rat spinning sound. Now, who can be 100% sure that this video is also not edited? This rat sound is added to it. I always have issues with my phone recording. I've used iPhone because I don't use any micro. Today I'm not using the microphone because still I have to get the volume up. So, and then it catches a lot of ambient sounds from the background. Like yesterday I was recording the video and the car was honking, and man, that was annoying. And my neighbor was cleaning, dusting his mattress, and that also my camera captured. Right now this camera is focused towards my voice because in this room I am the focus at the moment because I'm the one who's producing the sound. But this camera is not a real, which is made to record the audios. It's just the built-in camera. And even if you have iPhone 15, and I don't think so that if a guy moving from village to city for the first time would have iPhone 16 or iPhone 15 Max Pro, I'm sure that he probably has iPhone 10 or iPhone X2, whatever had the old ones, second-hand phones. Although the iPhone X2 has a good video quality, and it can be seen that this was a good video quality, but still you can't see RAT deployed. The thing Captain Steve pointed at was the front gear, not the RAT. So from one angle, it does look like it is RAT, but actually that was the front gear. And it's not visible. It's just a sound which could be dubbed later on to make everyone believe that it's the machine's fault, not the man's fault. And I have no objections because we have no idea what happened on that plane. But it's always the perception. That's why I put PK8303 example, that from day one, from the moment the crash happened, and then things started coming out, negative things about the pilot. And same was the case with Air Blue 202. People even called him terrorist and said that his family didn't even come to take the funeral, the body. These kind of things were spread. And through at that time, the social media, Facebook was not that famous in Pakistan, but still the channels, the TV channels, and then the gossip, everything. So that's how the perception is made. So the first video of the screen recording was sent, and again, Captain Steve, he was clearly convinced that flaps were up, or flaps were not up, because he gave 2 or 3 theories out. And he said that that's why the airplane took a very longer run to use the whole runway. But no, sir. There were 2 spots on the runway. One is at the end of the runway 23, where it's written 23. And there's another spot where the airplane's taxiing in to get a line to take off. There's another roundabout. So if it was on the second roundabout, we don't know for sure. I can calculate that because of the another video, which is the screen recording of, again, that's another screen recording by a security camera. So if we measure the distance, we see the hut. I can see the hut in the on Google Map too. So we can pretty much see that from where probably this aircraft. I don't think so that it had a very long run. It took off normally. It was not longer than usual. Because if we compare it with the other 787 videos of the same runway, of the same airport, under the same conditions, and you see the run to V1, which is where you have to take off. You can't apply the brakes to that. You're going to overshoot the runway. The time duration is almost the same. So I don't buy that this plane has taken a longer run to get airborne. It was just as normal as any other 787 would have been taken off under these conditions. The temperature 37 to 42 degrees in between that one. So no, that's a. But people are talking about that. Oh, it took longer, so there must be a problem with the machine now. Machines are machines. They could have problems. I don't deny that. But keeping in mind the takeoff run, the time duration, no, that's not plausible. Unless there are more security footages from on the airport. Definitely there are, but they're not released. You see, that when this aircraft taxied out, from where did it do the final checks when you make sure that all the control columns, all the controls are working perfectly, flaps, you move them up and down, you see left and right ailerons, you see the elevators, you see the rudder movement. Once you check it, engines to full power, and then you start to roll. So that place could have been initially the 2-3, where it's written, or the U-turn before that one. In both cases, because that hut, if you see, it's not far from that hut when the aircraft's nose goes up. So in both the cases, the takeoff run was normal. And then in all the videos of 787, you can't see clearly the flap location because of the color and contrast. You can't see that the flaps were not down, or they were up. But later on, the picture where the police officer is standing on the flap, clearly you can see the flaps were down. So that theory has been ruled out. And the third theory, which initially he said that probably instead of the gear, very ridiculous theory, instead of the gears, he put the flaps up. That's what's also not the case, because the flap position of the destroyed aircraft shows very clearly that flaps were not down. Sorry, they were not pulled up at any time of the phase, and they were properly deployed upon takeoff. So the takeoff configuration of the aircraft had no problems. Now they're coming to the dual engine failure. Okay, so dual engine failure, the evidence was sent to Mr. Steve, the original iPhone video, and that could, you have to listen to it. So he plays it again and again and again and again. And before his video, Ms. Burkhadat did the same thing. So she also had the same video. But for everyone else, it was the computer recorded video. Who sent Mr. Steve the video? He can know better. If it's the Indian media, then you know what the things are going to. Initially, with my initial opening statement, they're under pressure. They have to blame the machine. The way they're blaming Rafael, their ministers are coming up and saying that it's the machine that is causing the problem, not the pilots. So that video, you can't see RAT deployed, and I can make the same video, okay, use the same visuals, and I can add up an Indian music to it, because that doesn't look ambient. The sound is not from where the camera should be and from where the airplane is going. No, it's not. It doesn't match. If I send it to any of the audio experts, those who edit videos, those who enhance the qualities of the videos, they would know right away that there were two sounds, two different sounds. One is the airplane going, and the second one is the added one, which adds the RAT sound. Because at the end, this explosion from this rooftop is about 1 kilometer away, and tons of fuels exploded all along with the aircraft. I have a personal experience back in 1988, April 10th, Ojri Camp explosion. From my house, I was on my house rooftop. We didn't have cameras back then. And one of the camps where Pakistan used to store Stinger missiles given to Afghan Mujahideens back then that exploded. And later on, all these missiles fell on the population in the city, Rawalpindi city. That explosion was, I mean, that also had kind of tons of rocket fuel was exploded at the same time, same as the case with this aircraft. And you don't hear a thing. Because to put that, once you put two different kinds of voices together, like YouTube short video guys, they would know right away. Then you have your original sound, and once you use the YouTube music, add music option, and once you add the sounds together, then what happens? YouTube mutes your sound and then adds 5% of their music video. So once you balance it, it gets, sometimes that music goes higher and sometimes your sound goes lower. Anyhow, long story short, this is not a exact version of the original video. The sound is not. RT was deployed or not deployed. It doesn't. From this video, we cannot come as a verdict. Dual engine failure. So yesterday, Miss Burkada's program, another guy, he was a group captain of. Oh no, not in Burkada program. There was another guy. His name was Hassan, a Muslim guy who worked in the Air Force and then came up to the to the TV show. I will post the link in the description below. And he said because of the long takeoff, once the aircraft took, you could see the dirt ball around it. So maybe the debris were sucked in by the engine, and that's why both the engines failed. The dirt comes out when the exhaust, the exhaust of the engine comes out. So let's suppose you're moving in this direction. The intake of the engine is of course facing the air, and the exhaust is always at the back. So if this exhaust caused some dirt, some dust storm on the ground, this engine has already moved forward. The intake of the engine has already, it can never be faster than the airplane will come over here and get it. I was like, man, this is what they're selling to their people. Well, it's their crash. What can I say about that? But ridiculous. And then there was another guy who was saying, oh, and he was serious. I'm telling you, he didn't have a poker face. I mean, he was like, damn serious, man. And he said, so as soon as he crossed the V1, once he pitched up, the right engine got failed. Once any engine of the aircraft fails, what kind of drag you get on the airplane and how do you cater that? You have to give full opposite rudder because it's just like the cricket, okay, the in-swing bowling or out-swing bowling, that you get more friction towards one side, right? And then one side is shining, so reverse swing is getting away from the shine or getting into the shine. That's called swing. So same thing happens. Imagine your car, one wheel stops and the rest of the three wheels are moving. You will go towards the wheel that stopped because there's no motion on that one. And the rest of them are in motion. So you will go this way. So if you're flying and one engine is flamed out, as by this group captain of the Air Force, the plane would tend to go towards that side. And first thing that any pilot would do, because they maintain the heading to all those, all that, I'm sure that at that time it's physical, not by the autopilot. So he would put the left rudder right into it. And you can see in the video there are no rudder movements at all. And having one whole engine failed. And then said because that engine failed, the debris went into this engine and they both failed simultaneously. I don't know. How do these people make fool of their own people? So this was all my, I'm just trying to sum it up. I haven't given any theories because it's not my expertise. See, when I'm talking, the sound is indifferent. You heard the truck honking outside, and you can feel the difference of what happened to my active voice. Once this is at the background far away from us, probably the dBs are higher than, the pitch of the sound is higher than mine, so the camera got attracted towards that one. But you can't record a little turbine RAT's sound using an iPhone. That's my challenge. If anyone can do it, go back to the same place. There will be planes, but you won't be able to see any rats deployed. But anyhow, even if the engines were spooling down, definitely they were. Their sound would be shriller, they're louder, higher in terms of all intensities, frequencies of the sound. This little turbine would not be heard unless the engines were totally quiet, no spooling at all. And that doesn't seem that the case as well. So this is all my 2 cents on this video, and it's a shame that people have to change their opinions because of the media perception. Again, condolences to the families, crew members, and the doctors and their staff at the hospital. I heard that a few kids were also there with the grandmas. Grandmas were cooking food for the doctors, and kids were just, being with them, accompanying them. So, yeah, there's a huge disaster. And hopefully, I will wait for the report to come. I'm not going to speculate anything. I just said that what was a response time for a pilot to get corrections applied. One more thing I would like to add, because if I'm a pilot, if I were in that situation, what would have I done? So I'm thinking about my own standards. Definitely, you look for the piece of land that is safer to land on. At least that was we were told in military. We were taught in military. I don't know about the civil pilots at all. I don't discuss with them these kind of things. That what are your options? And if you see the crash area is pretty much straight in line with, that means the aircraft didn't go left or right. It was right on course, but just didn't get the upper lift. It just went down. And there were 2 roads right next to the buildings. So now the wingspan of 787 is about 50 plus meters, and a road's width is what, 8 to 10 meters, as big as the fuselage. So probably they would have tried to, get the control columns to left or right, but I think that at that time already the stall had happened and you couldn't move the aircraft. Roll towards left. Remember, there are 3 movements in the aircraft. One is pitch up, pitch down. That's considered one. One is roll left and roll right. That's considered second. 3 is yaw left and yaw right. So in order to turn, you apply a roll. In order to go up, you apply a pitch up movement. And whenever you pitch up or whenever you roll, there's always a yawing movement. So you use the opposite rudders to cater that one. So the roll movement, once you put on your yoke or control column, anything, pressure applied on the yoke, the ailerons, they show a little bit of deflection. So let's suppose you want to turn left, your left aileron would, not the wing, the aileron will move up, so it's going to give resistance to the air, and right would have no resistance, so you would roll towards your left. So again, the video is too far away, but if I were the pilot, I would have tried, instead of going into the buildings, probably would have tried to at least make a little bit of bank left or right and go towards one of the parallel roads. One is called the service road, one is called the Ahmedabad road, civil or hospital road. So probably they would have tried to land on either one of the roads instead of the buildings, but they had no time. As I said, 5 seconds were the time left for them to, do anything. Again, recap, they flew up and then they felt the engines, no more power. They tried to see the screens. What are they pointing at? Whatever they are told to do. For example, in 787 case, if there's an X switch, a start warning on, well, you get your fuel switch control on, get the start button on, and power, of course, to the maximum, and then you wait, because then computer is going to restart the engine, although computer does it by itself as well all the time, even if there is an engine, because there's so many backup systems. So it's totally a system failure so far, like the command system, like they blame the what's the name of that system? The 800 Max, blame that one for the computer software malfunction. But again, if you check my timeline, if you see China Eastern Airlines, their aircraft. So like previously, the Ethiopian Airlines, that thing went down and one final descent, and The computer systems, they said, failed and it hit the ground right away from whatever height it was. But China Eastern Airline was very different. It did go down same way, and then it recovered about 8,000 feet from the ground. It recovered. Now imagine going down at 40,000 feet per second, per minute, 40,000 feet at least. To recover out of that from 40,000 feet to 8,000 feet, that means that someone applied the G pressure to get the aircraft out of dive, because these systems would not help the aircraft recover. It has failed, as what they said. So it came up on the horizon again, flew for a few more minutes, for a few more seconds, and then went into vertical dive again. So that was not a computer failure. That was, again, my assumption is that something got stuck in the elevator. The vertical, what you use to control the pitch of the aircraft up and down. Something got stuck internally, and externally we don't know, and then the aircraft went down. But when he applied the correction and pulled the aircraft back, because normally we do a jerk, to shake the aircraft. So he did apply the recovery, but that was a time when the computer already programmed itself into dive again. And pulling up 10 Gs is beyond human limitations. All your blood, once you're pulling the Gs, what happens is that the blood is going down with the speed, and the aircraft is coming up faster than you are going down. So all your blood goes into your feet, empty it at the brain, and you get hypoxia right away. And we call it G-lock. And I don't think so that anyone can survive 10 Gs for this long without wearing a G suit. Even with the G suit, pulling 10 Gs, no one can survive. That's across human limitations. And then that's why they were the second dive. So that's all for today. I hope I've cleared everything so far. And I'll see you next time.